If they running their mouth, then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge, now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight, new content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde, keep on bringing the heat. Now they know that we driven, and they know we quitting. Yoshi and the winner, keep on bringing the energy. Unity. See, they know we ain't stopping, and they know they got problems, and they ran out of options. If they know we got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Bring back learner, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma's karma, I say what I say, I hear underwater. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners, 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 divine winters, Clyde winters, mind bender, Clyde winters, I'm Richard, ride with ya, master teacher, create masters, Clyde winters, give respect to the elder, Clyde winters.
I've not told lies. I've not stolen food. I was not stolen. I've not fornicated with the fornicator. I've not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I am not wrong. I am not struck kill. I am not transgressed the law. I have not been hunted. Except when I'm talking about on the song. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winters.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? Hey. Today is the day. Today is the day. What up, Sister Shanice? You know, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And you're probably saying, what am I excited about? Well, I'm excited to be alive. You know, it's good to be alive, but I just been looking at the internet lately, and the internet is kind of hot. And what's making it so hot is that, you know, they're trying to get a lot of FBA people excited about the upcoming election. And I don't know. I just don't see the excitement. And I think one of the biggest problems is that they're trying, in a sense, to make FBA people, you know, go and vote, and they want people to vote for you know, Kamala Harris, because she's black, but she already came out and she's already said that she's not going to do anything just for black people. No, and so that's a done deal. So many people, in a sense, aren't really, I think, getting that excited about this election. In fact, it seems that a lot of people may really, choose the couch instead of voting. And I know this has upset a lot of people, but the fact remains that people, in a sense, have to vote how they feel. And I think that a lot of people have moved away from that whole idea, what's the lesser of two evils, And I think some people even said the lesser of two evils is Trump. I don't know. I know, in a sense, that none of them are talking about giving black people anything. And if they're not going to give FBAs anything, I don't see any reason for me to lead a couch. Oh, yeah, I like it here, So I'll probably be sitting here in November when it's time to vote. But, it's very exciting because, I'm excited because of the creativity. There's so much creativity on the internet. There's so many fine shows. It's so much excitement. And much of it is because of the fact of, in a sense, being an FBA. Yes, I'm very proud of being an FBA, a foundational Black American. And I think it's something that allows me to be very happy about my nationality. And yes, I have a problem with the American flag and some stuff like that, but I still recognize the fact that I'm a foundational Black American because we built this country. And because we built this country, then in a sense, I have to believe, in a sense, that everything is okay. Sister Shanice, what up, though? Yes. But at the same time, I know we built this country. We have a problem sometimes because the fact is that the country doesn't really want to give us what we deserve. They owe us reparations, and it's time that they provide us with those monies. And none of the candidates for president is talking about giving us any money. They mainly talk about, and it says, just get out and vote for vote's sake. Nah, we can chalk that up as a non-factor in a sense. But again, Yoshimod the Genius, he's made a very interesting video, and I want to play it right now if I can. Let's see.
No need to pretend anymore. The truth is in your face. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA.
Oh yeah. Now Yoshimod the Genius, he's made many videos. If you want to get his music video, you can get his music video by going to yoshimod.gumroad.com. Yes, you can buy his videos at yoshimod.gumroad.com.
Roots. Oh, no need to pretend anymore. The truth is in your face. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. The Moors once ruled from woman to man. In Europe's heart, they wanted our land. Dr. Clyde reveals the hidden past, where blackness thrived, a vivid past. No need to pretend anymore. The truth is in your face. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. Oh, no need to pretend anymore. The truth is in your face. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. From rooms to moors, the truth is told. Stories of strength, being black is bold. Cultures blended, histories merged. A bond of funk, our souls converge. European tales, they twisted well to hide the truth, but their plans soon fail. See, Dr. Clyde's light shines beyond bright. We the black aboriginals are righteous in this fight. Are righteous in this fight. European tales, they twist it well. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots. fakes. FBA roots, FBA roots, FBA roots.
Yes, that's the way it is. Is that we have to just accept the fact that it's about FBA roots. It's about various things. But the most important thing to remember is that we do have this identity, and this identity goes back to the fact is that we have a unique origin, not just us, but also many Black Europeans. Many Black Europeans and many Black people in the Caribbean, they have similar origins because most of our ancestors came over here from many of our ancestors came over here from Europe. They were Black Europeans. Many of them were Black Irish. And these Black Irish came over here between 1631 and 1669. Yes, that's when they brought all these Black Irish. But again, in a sense, because of the fact, in a sense, that Black people spend most of their time in Europe and in America also, killing each other off. For example, there were many Black European elites and many Black European, in a sense, who were able, in a sense, to dominate the history of Europe. But during the 30-year war and the 100-year war, these Black people, they killed themselves off. And as they fought these wars, they often recruited, in a sense, Caucasian mercenaries. And these Caucasian mercenaries, what they did is that when they would fight for these Black elites in Europe, then the Black elites would give them land. And over time, these Caucasian mercenaries became the dominant population, and the Black population, they kind of breeded themselves out. So it's kind of sad. It's sad because the fact is that I don't know why Black people have a tendency. It's very hard for us to really love each other and really work with each other, but it looks as though it's easy for us to fight each other and just want to do terrible things to each other. But that's another story that I'm not going to talk about tonight. Tonight, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about an aspect of our history, and this history, in a sense, it goes back to what we were doing back in the day. And back in the day, we were, in a sense, creating, various civilizations. But most importantly, in a sense, I want to go back to our African roots. Yes, our African roots. And the reason I want to go back to our African roots is I want to talk about the fact is that we early domesticated. Yes, we early domesticated various animals in Africa, and these animals later became dominant animals in the history and the spread of civilization. This is especially true of the horse. What makes the horse such a significant feature of history is that the horse was used, not only in a sense as a beast of burden, it was also used as a means of transportation. Often the horses would pull carts or chariots, or many people would ride them bareback, and or they would ride them with a saddle. But again, in a sense, this horse plays an important role. So what we're going to talk about today is that we're going to talk about how Africans domesticated the horse. The horse has a unique history in terms of African people. And this history of the horse mainly results from the fact is that we saw the horse as something that was very important. In this picture, you can see a surreal image of the horse. You can see, in a sense, on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, you can see a horse, a big horse. These horses, in a sense, were basically horses that you found in Europe. The original horses that were domesticated for Africans were like horses on the left-hand side. They was kind of smaller horses. But these horses, in a sense, were used, to pull chariots. They were also used, in a sense, to carry people, who could ride the horses. And so, this is something that we really need to discuss, but it's not often discussed. We've often taught that the horse domestication, and in fact, the domestication of just about all the animals, was really a product of Caucasian European genius. That's why, and they want to, in a sense, pinpoint the area of animal domestication, not in Africa, but in the Middle East. But in reality, many of these animals were domesticated first in Africa and then taken to the Middle East. Many animals, not just horses, but also cattle. But it's very important in the sense that we learn about various things. And the way to learn about various things, is to learn how to be a researcher, you see. You got to let the researcher do the research, because it's by doing research that we can find out more and more about our civilization, and we can find out about our history. So that's one of the reasons why we like to, in a sense, make sure that we do have researchers, and we need researchers. And you can be a researcher too. Yes, you can be. Let the researcher do the research. Yes, let the researcher do the research. Dr. Clyde Winters, let him do the research. We need more researchers like Dr. Clyde Winters. Yes, yes, yes. Let the researcher do the research. Yes, we don't understand that it takes people who want to do research to be able, in a sense, to tell us our history. Yes, many people have taken my course, The Afrocentric Researcher. You can take it too. All you got to do is join. But if you don't, in a sense, join, understand that it's through your hard work, through your persistence, that you can become a researcher. Yes, yes, yes. Let the researcher do the researcher. You know what? I've written some books that can help you to be a researcher. Those books are Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentric Studies. Yes, yes, this book is an important book. It'll help you learn all about your history. My other book is Afrocentric Researcher by Dr. Clyde Winters. This book, in a sense, is the most important book that you will find. What makes this book important is that the Afrocentric Researcher provides you with a course, yes, provides you with a course outline that tells you all the things you do to be a great researcher. Yes, get these books, The Afrocentric Researcher, and, in a sense, get my book, Pathfinder. These books are the books you need to be successful, the books that will make you a great researcher. Get these books, but let the researcher do the research, but you can be the researcher too. Create so far, I've heard that he's done some very super research, or she's done some very super research. And the thing is, this is that I've asked him to send me some of his research, because I do want to support people who join us. Because see, I see the people in the chat as part of the family. I want to be able, in a sense, to see the artwork, show the artwork, because I don't mind, in a sense, promoting other people, because it's only through our promotion of each other that's going to allow us to be able to really teach people our history. And this is something that we really need to pay close attention to, and not just be so selfish in terms of wanting to do everything yourself. So I enjoy the fact that we have people, in a sense, like Create So Far, who's doing research, and this research is what can help us to know more and more about our history, and to bring more of us into an understanding of the things we need to know. Some of my books that can help you to learn more about this aspect of ancient Black history. You can get my book, Before Egypt, The Ma Confederation, Africa's First Civilization. And also, if you want to learn why the African languages, Black African languages, are related to Egyptian, get my book, The Egyptian Language. In this book, I discuss the role, in a sense, of African people in the creation of the ancient Egyptian language, and how many of these ancient languages are related today. So if you want to find out more about this discussion, you want to find out more about our ancient relations in the Africa, get these books. You can go to my Patreon to see the slides. After I do this presentation, I'm going to put my my slides in my Patreon. Please join my Patreon. A lot of the stuff I try to present new and exciting studies every week. Sometimes I might go over the same thing, but even when I go over the same thing, I try to get new information. And the way that I get this new information is by going to the latest books and articles. That means sometimes I have to buy books, new books, and I have to sometimes, in a sense, get articles that are behind a paywall. Because of the support of my Patreon members, that allows me to have the money to buy new books. That allows me to have the money to maybe download an article and pay for reading an article, or pay, in a sense, to be able to print an article out. All of this is done by my Patreon Thank you, Patreon members. Thank you so much for your support. And I hope you too will join my Patreon. You can find me on Twitter at Dr. Clyde Winters 8. You can follow me at TikTok, Clyde Winters 3. You know, I have there's a lot of videos on TikTok that relate to my research. Many of these videos have been done by Yoshima the Genius. So please go to TikTok and look at these videos. And also support Yoshima the Genius, because Yoshima is producing materials. I've already shown you one of his videos. So support Yoshima. You can find his videos at yoshima.gumroad.com. So check him out. Also, in a sense, you can go to his YouTube channel. And if you go to his YouTube channel, you can play the videos anytime you wish. So support Yoshima. You know, again, I'm on TikTok at Clyde Winters 3. You can look at my YouTube videos on this channel right here. I have over 400 videos. Yes. I've been producing videos. Yes, I've been producing videos on Black history since 2006. That's almost 20 years. 2006. Check out these videos. Don't just come every Thursday to listen to my videos. Visit my website, you know, go to my website, check out my videos on this channel, see, and you can learn all aspects of Black history, you know, and they're here. It's here for you. It's here for your family. You can even set up a program. And if you join my Patreon, I've created courses so that you can, in a sense, go join my Patreon. You can see I've written outlines of how to put videos together to teach them in a series so that you can learn various aspects of Black history, like the Paleo Americans, you know, writing in Africa, things like that. So join my Patreon and check out my videos on this YouTube channel. You can order my books at Amazon.com. Please order my books. FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestor, ancestry or pedigree. As a result, we are descendants of the African, Black Europeans, and Aboriginal Blacks who built the United States. Yes. We went through an ethnogenesis, you see. Due to this ethnogenesis, there was a mixture of Black Europeans with Aboriginal Blacks and African Blacks. And from this ethnogenesis emerged a new population. And that population was FBA, Foundation of Black Americans, who are B1, Black Furs. B1, brilliant in Black Furs. Yes, we're B1, Black Furs. In Pathfinder, I explain how I became an Afrocentric researcher. Yes, my book, Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism, a memoir. In this book, I talk about how I became an Afrocentric researcher. In Pathfinder, I explained how when I was 10 years old, I decided that I would become an explorer. That's me over there, me back in the day. You probably say, how the hell, look at this Negro. How do you stop being light-skinned and start being darker? Well, this is what happened. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. You see. You know, in Pathfinder, I explained how at 10 years old, I wanted to be an explorer. I immediately became sad because I remembered that everything had just about been discovered during the age of exploration. As a result, I decided that I was going to be an explorer of historical events by being the first human being to discover new history about Black people. And what happened is that the more knowledge I gained, the darker I got. You know what they say? You know, I'm kind of like a berry. Yes, I'm kind of like a berry in a sense. Is that, you know, they say the blacker the berry, you know, the greater the juice or something like that. That's what happened to me. As I got more involved in learning about our history, as I tried to, in a sense, learn our history and fight Cades, I became, in a sense, darker. Yes. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Yes, sirs. Over the next 60 years, I have been writing the true and accurate account of our history and culture in Africa and around the world. You know, for example, if you want to find out about every Black civilization that ever existed that I know of, I've learned about a couple of new ones, but I'm not going to revise the book yet. But if you want to learn about every every Black civilization that ever existed. Get my book, The World History of the Black Race. And this book is a survey course. It's a survey book, which in a sense gives a little information about all of these various Black civilizations. Get that book if you want to know more. Boy, Marcus Garvey. What did Marcus Garvey tell us? Marcus Garvey told us a people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Yes. We're like a tree without roots if you don't know your history, you see. And the beautiful thing about foundational Black Americans is that we have a very unique history, you know. And we have a unique history because the fact is that our origins is not just from Africa, you see. It's not just from Europe. It's not just from the Americas. We have went through an ethnogenesis, and this ethnogenesis included a mixture of the greatest thinking of our Black European ancestors, the greatest thinking and traditions and skills of our African ancestors, and the greatest traditions, skills, and knowledge of our Aboriginal ancestors. Yes. The Aboriginal people of North America were Black like you, Black like me, Black like us. Africans domesticated the horse and rode chariots. Yes. You know, they rode these, they made these in a sense chariots, and they had horses. You know, this is off the subject, but I'm gonna go off the subject. Since I'm talking, I can go off the subject. You know what I found is that in the study of American history, ancient American history, you find that 2,000 years ago, Aboriginal Black people had built extensive stone roads. Yes. They built extensive stone roads. And these roads, in a sense, they stretch for miles in many parts of the country. And, you know, sometimes I wonder, you know, was the horse over here being used much earlier? We always think of the horse coming over here with Europeans, but I wonder, why did they have those roads? Why would they have those roads unless they had something rolling down those roads? You see, but there's never any discussion, or there's never been, you know, finding ancient chariots or wagons or ox carts and things like that. But they built these roads. So I have to assume that they did have, in a sense, various media that they used, in a sense, to transport goods throughout the United States. Or why would they build those roads? And I think maybe, in a sense, maybe there's evidence of this historical event or tradition does exist, but they just haven't shown us. Because why would they build these stone roads that extend for miles, unless they were moving in a sense goods and merchandise along those roads, in addition to the boats that they used, in a sense, to ship goods. But that's something that we have to investigate. Maybe you might discover that. Yes, family. Maybe you might be that researcher who can discover that information and allow us to know what's really going on. The agenda for this discussion is introduction, origin of horse domestication, and we're going to then talk about chariots in Africa. You know, you can see over in the on the right hand side, you can see some of the engravings from Africa, and these engravings from Africa show people were riding horses. Bareback, and some may have had a kind of saddle. You know, the person in the back looks as though his horse may have some sort of chattel. You can see where they also had bits and reins, so they could, maneuver the horse. So that's very interesting, you see. But these are things that we don't really think about in relationship to Black and African people, because the fact is that we just assume, the Caucasian, he domesticated the horse, he domesticated the cattle, he spread all these great things. No, we did it too. Yes. It was Black people in Africa, yes, and later in Asia, who domesticated the horse and rode these horses. The horse period in Africa is dated between 2000 and 1200 BC. On the left-hand side, you can see an engraving from West Africa. And this is a very interesting engraving, because let's look up in that upper left-hand corner of this picture. When you look up at the left-hand corner of the picture, you can see that that these are writing. This is writing. Yes, yes. African people had writing at this early period. And then in a sense that there were people in a sense riding or chariots that were being pulled by horses. And think about it is that we believe in a sense that the horse period is dated back to between 2000 and 12,000 BC. And what this tells you is that if they had horses and riding at the same time, this is further evidence that Black people were already engaged in writing history and writing their traditions and leaving messages for their descendants, us, at this early period in time, because we see in that top left-hand corner, you can see the writing. And then we can see the chariots, and we see people with horses and people congregating, people doing various things. This shows the uniqueness of the culture. These dates correspond to the archaeological research. There were two horses common to Africa, a horse introduced to Africa by the Hyksos, and a native small-sized horse common to much of North and West Africa. Most researchers believe the horse was introduced to Africa via Egypt by 1700 BC. This is false. It is false because the Hyksos did not come from Asia. The Hyksos also lived in Lower Egypt. In fact, in a sense, that's why Lower Egypt was called Hyksos. It's why the Egyptians often referred to the Cushites as a hill people. This is supported by the various meanings of Gardner's Egyptian sign N25. You can see that at that top illustration. You can see N25, and you can see these three symbols. These three symbols represent hills, and this can be interpreted as either hush, hush, but again, in a sense, either hush or kush, but it refers in a sense to the Cushite people. The N25 sign from Gardner's list of Egyptian signs, hus, and hush, meant Cush. The Equine inscription makes it clear that the name Hus was made up of three N25 signs from Gardner's list of Egyptian signs. The N25 sign also represents hush. This means that N25 represents the name hush for the ethnonym Cushite. Hyksos kings were proud of their Cushite origin. In the Hyksos seals, the kings wrote their names followed by the Hekahas, or kings of the Cushites. These sealings are primary contemporaneous ancient Egyptian language literature documentation, indicating that the Hyksos used this name to illustrate their Cushite ancestry and relationship to the Nubian Cushites. The 1700 BC date is an interesting date for the introduction of the horse to Africa, but far too late for the introduction of the horse in Africa. Given the archaeological evidence for horses at Mahdi in the Saharan zone of ancient Egypt, Saharan Africans used the donkey and later horses as beasts of burden. A domesticated equus was found at Hieronkopolis, dating to around the 3600 BC at Mahdi in Egypt. You can, if you look at the map on the right-hand side, you can see where Mahdi was located in terms of ancient Egypt and the Mediterranean Sea. Let's take a minute so you can visualize where these ancient horses were found, or an animal that's associated with the horse, the equus. Equus are odd-toed ungulates with oval-shaped hooves. They feature large and long heads with eyes facing sideways, as is characteristic with prey animals. Equus have teeth consistent with herbivores. They all have manes and tails. All horses breed from slim, thoroughbred racehorses to stocky plow horses to tiny ponies, belong to a single species, Equus cabalus. What's more, all surviving branches of this family tree are also members of the same genus Equus, which now consists of only 7. These are some of the members of the so-called Equus family. You see the donkey, the zebra, the horse. You know, these are all considered in a sense to be Equus. The horse was also found throughout Africa. In the Sahara, skeletons of horses dating to 2000 BC have been found. In the Saharan zone, the first carts were driven by cattle and date between 4,000 and 3,000 years before the present, between the Tichet and the Tangat region. According to Joaquim Soler Subios, it is in the Tichet region that we find many Libico-Berber inscriptions, horses, mounted horses, and of course the cattle-driven carts. There you can see in a horse skeleton. And but we can imagine, if you look on the right-hand side, this careful use of carts, horses. This is you have to divorce yourselves. You have to divorce yourselves from what many Europeans have taught you, because the Europeans have you thinking that Africans just ran around, butt naked or with a grass skirt, and then they just do spears and no. They had high civilizations. They built various tools and various means of transportation. Don't get it twisted, you see. But the European wants you to feel, in a sense, that your ancestors, had to have been, primitive. They wouldn't have had the culture or had the technological means to make these beautiful inventions that they did make. The Dravidians and Niger-Congo speakers formerly lived in the highlands of the Sahara. Many of these people migrated into West Africa. In West Africa, according to Daniel McCall, horses were in the Sahara during the 2nd millennium BC. This would explain the affinity between the Dravidian and African terms for horse. For example, in the Mandi language, we find horses called a wolu. In the Bambara language, they call it bulu, wolo. In the Nubian language, they call it undi. And then in Tamil, they're called iuli. In Brahuli, they're called uli. You see? So wolo, bul. So we can see, in a sense, that there are other names too. And these names show greater affinity. And this would be the name par or far, which was also used in a sense as a name for horse. For example, the Mandi called the gray horse bara, and the Hausa called the swift horse baraba. In Tamil, we find, in a sense, that horses are called parium, and this corresponds to Fulani puku. You see, or faras. So again, in a sense, we can see that many Dravidian people who live in India and people who live in Africa had similar names for these for members of the horse family. And again, this results from the fact, as I pointed out in earlier talks, that the so-called Dravidian people of South India originated in the Nile Valley, and they took these cultivated horses from Africa to India in ancient times. There are many Dravidian African words for horse. One of the most ancient Dravidian forms for horse may be Brahuli Huli and Tamil Wuli. This ancient form of the word for horse appears in the African languages with consonants of either an L or a D as the main consonant in the vowel O or U. You see, for example, we can find, in a sense, these similarities in terms of how the word for horse. The fact that the chariot is found in West Africa resembles those of Crete does not mean that the rise of these chariots had to have come from Crete. In fact, Greek traditions make it clear that the ancient Cretans, yes, the ancient Cretans, who we call Minoans, came from Africa. In other words, although the Europeans, in a sense, want you to believe that chariot riding first appeared in the Mediterranean areas where Europeans lived, or that the Hyksos may have brought, in a sense, chariot riding into Africa, we find that when you really look at the evidence, when you really look at the stone, the engravings, you find, in a sense, that chariots had already been in Africa long before the Hyksos, in a sense, used the chariot in Lower Egypt. Secondly, Saharan Africans preferred horseback riding instead of using chariots. Therefore, the association of riding to the expansion of the Fezzanese from the Fezzan to Mauritania after 10,000 BC is not supported by the archaeological evidence. For the horse in the Sahara, Mahdi is not irrelevant to this discussion. As we have discussed earlier, the Proto-Mandi speakers originally lived in the Sahara and Nubia before they migrated into West Africa and the Fezzan. As a result, the fact that one, horses were found at Madi and throughout the Sahara between 4,000 and 5,000 plus BP before the present, for horseback riding is important in understanding the antiquity of riding and the African, in a sense, domestication of the horse. Yes. We have to, in a evidence, to see the early domestication of the horse in Africa. They also rode donkeys and or oxen. Here's another example of someone riding a donkey. The horse disappeared from the Sahara as the area became increasingly drier. This forced the original West African domesticated horse to move southward, where they are presently found. Here you can see, in a sense, some of the horses that were existed in Mauritania, which is in North Africa. Mauritania is a much more desert region today. It's very dry. But you can see that formerly Mauritania had a lot of horses and also had horse-drawn chariots. We can also see at Air Saraba in the state of Mali, which, as anybody who looks at Mali today in West Africa, is a very arid place. But as you can see, it wasn't arid in the past. And because it wasn't arid in the past, it was a beautiful region in which people, in a sense, could ride their horses. And one of the things that I think is very interesting is that although the chariot was a popular means of transportation, we see that many people used to also like to ride the horses themselves. Europeans would have us believe the African never invented the wheel. We knew this was false because ancient Africans often made toys with wheels. Yes. They would tell you that African people never invented the wheel, and yet we found all of these toys from ancient African archaeological sites with wheels on them. So that was a lie. But the fact is that we had to accept that the wheel was early invented by African people. It would appear that the Proto-African Dravidian term for wheel was ori or uri, go, uri, or ko, uri. The Proto-South Dravidian term for wheel, tigu or ori. The linguistic evidence suggests that in the proto-language, the speakers of Proto-African Dravidian used either the vowels o or u, or a and e after the consonant. It's also evident that the l, the la, l, and r were interchangeable in the construction of the term for wheel. As a result, it's not surprising that Africans early had carts to carry their supplies. The Dravidian African languages share similar names for the wheel. For example, in Gala, we have Makura Kura. In Tulu, which is a Dravidian name, we have Gali or Tagori. In Swahili, the name for wheel is Guru or Dumu. In Mandi, the word for wheel is Koli or Kori. See, look at that. The Mandi word, Koli. Then Tulu, which is a Tamil word, they have Gali. Then we have Kori in Mandi and Marufe. In Tamil, we have Kal, we have Ari, Urul, Tikiru. And in Kannada, we have Gali, Tiguru, Tigari. So as you can see, is that Dravidians and Africans, in a sense, share these terms. Here's a very interesting Dada Cheat. A Dada Cheat, which is a site, which is a site in West Africa, where we believe, in a sense, the ancient civilization of Ghana, Malay, and Songhay originated. We find these, in a sense, rock art, and this rock art shows that the people back then had in a sense wheel carts, and that these wheel carts were often pulled by cattle, bulls or cows. So that's very interesting. But again, in a sense, you can see how the chariot has a long history, or this whole idea of wheeled transportation was not new. No, wheeled transportation was not new to these African people. They knew about wheeled transportation, and because they knew about wheeled transportation, what they did, in a sense, is that they tried to make sure that people could understand this, And this is one of the reasons why we have to understand the relationship that our people had in terms of creating these great and wonderful civilizations. Horses and chariots are found in Chad and Libya. It appears that when North Africa was a savanna land is land that was mainly grassland. Africans rode in chariots from Dar to Cheat in Mauritania. Yes, yes. They rode from Dar to Cheat in Mauritania all the way to Garamantes in the Fezzan. That's over a few thousand miles. But this is just to show the extent of Africans using these carts, using these horses to pull their chariots and carts to carry supplies throughout Africa. At this time, both regions were settled by the Mandi-speaking people, who are now situated mainly in the Niger Valley. You see, on this map, you can kind of see the extent of this movement. Because we can see the Fezzan is all the way over in Libya, and Mauritania is really far west over in Africa. Much of the rock art relating to horses and chariots comes from Chad and Libya. Chad includes the Sahara Desert in the north and the savannah in the south. The rock engravings and paintings located in two main areas, the Enedi Plateau and the Tibesti Mountains. You can see some of the various archaeological sites that they found, and where you can find, in a sense, various engravings of horses and sometimes chariots. The Mandi built many cities in Mauritania after they migrated into the area from the Fezzan. These centers include Dar Tachit, Dar Walada, and Dar Nima. Look over there in the top left-hand corner. This is a picture of Dar Tachit. Yes. This is Dar Tachit. So as you can see that already African people were building their monuments of stone, And the archaeological evidence makes it clear the Mandi were agro-pastoralists that herded cattle, grew millet, and had carts and probably chariots. So as you can see the beautiful monuments, in a sense, the buildings that they made in Mauritania, and Dar Tachit, Dar Walada, Dar Nima. And we also find there, in a sense, in addition to these buildings, in addition to these towers, we also, in a sense, find cattle. If you really think about, if you really remember when I talked about, did I talk? Yeah. No, it's in my class. I talk a lot about the castles that Black people, African people build in Europe. And as you can see this particular Dar Tachit. You can see these monuments at Dar Tachit reflect how some of the castle walls, the castle towers were built, you see. And many of these towers that you find in European castles, medieval castles or earlier, you can see, in a sense, where these castles have the original castle form is found in many parts of West Africa. Very important to understand is that you can look at this cultural continuity. And what I mean by cultural continuity, you can see where the people, in a sense, had these various, architectural forms, these various technological innovations that they, in a sense, applied in Africa and sometimes were improved upon when they took these same technological, ideas to Europe. The Tachit dwellings were built by Mandi-speaking people and date back to 2000 to 800 BC. Yes. The economy and society Neolithic dur Dar Tachit. You see, this is a very interesting, book that you may want to read. If you read French, it can tell you more about what was happening at Dar Tachit. The details on the initial colonization of the Dars are not known, but it is nonetheless clear that groups of Mandi-speaking cattle and sheep, goat herders settled on the sandstone cliffs at the end of the 3rd millennium BC. They devised successful strategies to cope with the overall unpredictability of the climatic parameters. Through sustained intensification, short range and pulsatory nomadicism, and colonization, they succeeded in building the earliest extensive village communities in West Africa. Yes. They built extensive communities, and as you can see from these carts, that were drawn by cattle, that they had an extensive understanding of the wheel. Yes. And they knew, in a sense, how to build carts. The introduction of writing back to 5,000 years before the present is obvious because, one, the chariot period, which is associated with the Libico-Berber writing, is believed to have begun in the second millennium BC, 5,000 years ago. And two, archaeological and epigraphic evidence suggests that writing exists in Sahara, in a sense, by at least 800 BC. This is a very interesting inscription from Oued Mertotek. And this inscription, in a sense, is written in various Libico-Berber writings. And, I translated it years ago. Some of it reads, "Here indeed, stands this wonderful big hemisphere tomb," because this was to identify the area as a place where they had built a tomb, and they had buried some of their elites in that tomb. This is a very interesting inscription at Oued Mertotek. There are many inscriptions written in this script, spreading from the Fezzan to the ancient Mandi city of Tchet. Dar Tchet was situated in Mauritania. Again, these are some of the buildings. Yes. These are some of the buildings that were built at Dar Tchet in Mauritania. And these buildings precede, they precede the Islamic period. I know that many of you guys have heard about the so-called West African kingdoms of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. But as you can see, they were already building stone houses and other, in a sense, dwellings at Dar Tchet in Mauritania. Black people, 2,000 years before the rise of the civilizations of Ghana, Mali, and etc. You see, this was not new to African people. African people, as I said before, had the technological abilities, the technological traditions to create strong stone dwellings and other artifacts. And they also, in a sense, were able, in a sense, to have transportation from these cities, across the savannah, mainly, in a sense, either by riding horses or chariots. And these chariots were either pulled by horses or carts. Chariots or carts were pulled by horses or often pulled by cattle. There are many inscriptions written in Mandi script stretching from the Fezzan to Tchet. Remember, the Fezzan is in modern day Libya. So, we can find, in a sense, that these inscriptions date all the way from the Fezzan to Tchet. And again, this is a picture of the ancient city of Tchet in Mauritania. Here's some cards from Dar Tchet and Fezzan. Okay, on the left-hand side, we can see a cart. We can see the depiction of a cart from Dar Tchet in Mauritania. Yes. But then on the right-hand side, we can see in a sense the continuity and the fact that these people had a similar culture, because we see a similar style cart pulled by cattle that comes from the ancient Fezzan. You see? This shows, in a sense, that all the way from Mauritania to ancient Libya, there were people, in a sense, practicing the same cultural traditions and had the same technologies, you see. And these technologies did not involve people just walking everywhere. See, that's one of the things, in a sense, I think that Black people had to get away from. They try to teach you that Black people, in a sense, were not adventurous, that Black people weren't explorers, and that Black people were afraid of the sea and all that type of stuff. No. They made boats. They traveled by boats over water. They traveled over land, riding horses or cattle, and they would pull their goods, on carts. See? This was something that we should have known already, because why, as Black people, we're always trying to think of how to make a job easy. We don't want to make a job hard. We want to make a job easy. And that's one of the reasons why we invented carts and had them pulled by horses and cattle. Again, these are some cards from Tchet in Mauritania, you see. And here we can see some of the various places. Fezzan over in Libya, Mauritania is on the other side of Tunisia. But as you can see, they were in a sense expanding all the way from Mauritania over to Libya. Very important to take into account. Here we can see this is in addition to living in the Zan, a part of the Mandi-speaking people remained in the Fezzan. They were called the Garamantes. Garamante means in the Mandi language, dry land Mandi. Gara means dry, Manti means the Mandi speaker. So the Garamanti were the dry land Manti, or the dry land Mandi who lived in the Fezzan. They found the Greek cities of France, Minoan Crete, and many parts of North Africa. The Garamantes were also called Carians by the Indo-European Greeks. The Garamantes or Carians originally lived in the Fezzan. These Garamantes were described by the Latin classical writers as black or dark-skinned. They were therefore called Parusti, Fulvri, or Nigri. Some of the first African colonists to arrive in Greece came from Crete. These Cretans were called Garamantes. Yes, Garamantes, just like the people who lived in where? Africa. After the goddess Kar. These people also came to be also known as the Carians. The Carians spoke a Mandi language. These people usually sailed to the islands in the Aegean and the surrounding coast, where they established prosperous trading communities. You can see on the right-hand side a boat with some of these early Mandi-speaking people who founded various cities along the Mediterranean. There's frequent mention of the Garamantes of the Fezzan in classical literature of Greece and Rome. The Garamantes were recognized as a black tribe. They were known to the Greeks and Romans as dark-skinned. In Ptolemy 185, paragraph 331, a Garamante slave was described as having a body the color of pitch, or woolly black. Graves in 1980 and Leo Frobenius linked the Garamantes to the ancient empire of Ghana, which existed between 300 BC and AD 1100. Graves claims that the term Garamante is the Greek plural for Garama or Garamas. He said that the present-day Jarama or Garama or Jarma or Garma are the descendants of the Garamante, and that the Jarma lived near the Niger River. The Olympian creation myth is recorded by Pindar in fragment, and Apollonius Rhodius makes it clear that the Garamantes early colonized Greece. Their descendants were also called Carians. The Carians practiced apiculture, as in Africa, the Carians practiced matrilineal descent. According to Herodotus, even up until his time, the Carians took the name of their mother. So again, as you can see, that it's very important that when you look at the history of Black people, when you look at the history of African people, do not get fixated on the fact that they just stayed in Africa. No, they didn't. They didn't just stay in Africa. They expanded out of Africa to other parts of the world, you see, just like these Carians. And that's one of the reasons why they expanded all the way, in a sense, from Libya throughout many parts, in the sense of the Mediterranean area. Here you can see a map of the Fezzan. In the Libyan region of Garma, there are 3,000-year-old pyramids. Yes, yes, yes. I bet you didn't know that. You thought, in a sense, that the only pyramids built in Africa were built in Egypt or Nubia. No, no, no. They built pyramids, yes. The Garama. They built pyramids in Libya too. These pyramids are found at El Hatia in the Sahel part of Libya. Here we find 20 pyramids. It appears that the Mandi communicated with other Mandi speakers in the Garama region via chariots. Here you can see some of the various pyramids made by these people. You can see those pyramids made at Hadia. And you can see the pyramids that come from the main city of the Garamante that's called Garama or Jarma. I think that it's very interesting when you look at the pyramids from Hadia. You can see that those pyramids are kind of very close. They resemble closely many pyramids that they built by the ancient Merodi people in ancient Meroe. Again, you see the pyramid and the chapel outside. But then the Garamantes, you can see that those pyramids there, they made them more square. But in both cases, we can see this whole idea of pyramid building was, in a sense, a characteristic of Black or African civilizations, And that's one of the reasons why they took pyramid building from Africa even to ancient America. Researchers claim that the inscriptions are along the chariot routes and other sites. This suggests that some of the inscriptions may date back to 1500 to 2000 BC, because this is the day when the horse appears in the Sahara. Again, here's some inscriptions of the writing on the right-hand side and the left-hand side. And this clearly shows, in a sense, that you had writing in Fezzan, from Fezzan to Djit. And then we also see this inscription from Oued Mertadek. The chariot routes extended from the Niger Valley in Mauritania to the Mandi city of Garma in modern-day Libya. These Mandi-speaking people have left us thousands of Libico-Berber inscriptions. Here you can see some more evidence of these chariots that the people rode in. The fact that the chariots found in West Africa resemble those of Crete does not mean that the riders of these chariots had to have come from Crete. In fact, Greek tradition makes it clear that the ancient Cretans, called Minoans, came from Africa. Yes, the Minoans were Cretans. They weren't the Minoans, in a sense, or the Cretans were called Garamante. See that relationship? You see how they had the same names because they were the same people. In conclusion, Africans early invented wheeled vehicles. These vehicles were pulled by oxen, donkeys, and horses. The horse period is dated between 2000 and 1200 BC. These dates correspond to the archaeological research. There were two horses coming to Africa, a horse introduced to Africa by the Hyksos, and a native small-sized horse coming to much of North Africa and West Africa. Most researchers believe the horse was introduced to Africa, Egypt by 1700 BC. This is an interesting date and far too late for the introduction of the horse, given the archaeological evidence for horses at Mahdi and the Saharan zone. Saharan Africans used the donkey and later horses as beasts of burden. A domesticated equus was found at Hierakonpolis, dating to around 3600 BC. Yes. Very interesting. And here's some of the references. Again, you can find this and go to my Patreon and see the slides. Join my Patreon. Please support me. Right now, why don't you put a like on this video, and let your friends know about this video, and share it with your friends. So put a like on it. That'll get other people, in a sense, to see where we're coming from. So as you can see, this whole idea of the horse domestication was nothing new. It was just part of the great history, part of, in a sense, the great creativity of Black and African people. And this is something that we have to take into account. I got a few minutes that you want to, in a sense. If you got any questions, you can put them in the chat. Sister Janice says, I'm honored to be one of your Patreon. Thank you. Sister Janice is a great researcher and a great scholar. And the thing is that right now she's teaching a history course. And, a lot of people, right now it's a little too late, but I'll tell you a little bit about the course because, it's a course that both of us teach. And it's a course, in a sense, that many people have found very exciting and, very exciting. Hi, family. This is Clyde Winters again. How are you doing? We got a new course coming up. This new course is going to be Part 3, When Britain Was Black. In Part 3, we're going to talk about the Black British Romans, the Black Emperors, the Black Moors. We're going to talk about the beautiful castles and homes that these Black people built in Europe. We're going to talk about Black royalty. Join us for Part 3, When Britain Was Black. We're going to teach the class on Monday, beginning September 9th. The class is going to be at 7:30 p.m. British time and 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time in the United States. Join us for this class. Learn about the Black British Romans, the Black Emperors, the Moors, the castles that they lived in, and Black royalty. Join us for the third part in the Black British History online course. Join us. You can register for the course at sistershanice.gumroad. Yes, go to Gumroad and you can register for the class at sistershanice.gumroad.com. Join us for the class beginning September 9th.
Atlantis in Mexico. Atlantis in Mexico. Atlantis in Mexico. Atlantis in Mexico. Time travel in a book. Go far in a book. When is the last time you spent bread on a book? Knowledge given in a book. Benefit from a book. Create a movie from a book. Create animation from a book. Atlantis in Mexico. Atlantis in Mexico. Mexico.
Parents looking for a story that would not only captivate your little one's imagination, but would also teach valuable lessons. The Bloom, bedtime story for the young at heart, takes your child on a magical journey to ancient Kemet, where the goddess Sister Andito brings life, love, and healing. Through this enchanting tale, your child will learn the importance of nature, compassion, and positivity, all while discovering the rich history of Kemet. It's a story that inspires self-mastery and love for the world around them, making it the perfect bedtime read for little dreamers. Available on Amazon now, The Bloom not only nurtures young minds, but also supports the FBA community. Grab your copy right now and give your child the gift of adventure of learning. Order The Bloom today on Amazon. Thank you. Hotel.
Time travel in a book. Go far in a book. Can you remember from a book? Knowledge given in a book. Benefit from a book. Create a movie from a book. Just don't forget to give thanks to the author of the book. Thanks. Black Neanderthals and the white race. Origin Black Neanderthals and the white.
Supplemental learning for your mini. But you can learn too. Don't send your mini into the belly of the beast unarmed. Courses, practical math, language, the code, our story, and more. An institution founded by us, dedicated to us and our fight for justice. Here you will learn ways to combat the system using the same information they are trying to keep away from you. Welcome to FBA Sunday School.
Today is the day. We need to homeschool our children due to white supremacy. In many states, education departments are passing laws to deny our children from learning the history of foundational Black Americans. Today, you can learn how to organize and teach your children in a homeschool in my book, A Guide to Homeschool Foundational Black Americans. You can use my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877, to teach our children their history here in the United States. You can use my book to teach world history. And this book I've written is called The World History of the Black World. This will teach your children about every Black civilization in the world. Get this book. The time is now. Get these books to teach your children about their greatness, to prevent them from losing confidence in their own ability to learn and be successful future adults in employment and education.
What's up, everybody? It's Eve. Follow me on Twitter and YouTube for space recordings and special live programs. 2024, we're doing things a little different if you haven't peeped game by now. So yeah, this is your chance. You can do it now if you want. Hit the bell here on YouTube at JustEveB, or find me on X at Justice4 Us. That's JUSTICE 4 JUST_US. And if you feel so inclined, support my channel and the work we do over here. The Cash App and Patreon links are in the description. Black first.
Free your mind, let it go to the top, drop it to the floor, take energy, coming like whoa, spring water, let it go. Free your mind, let it go, tap in, go, let it nigga know, hey, let it nigga know, let it nigga know, energy, coming like whoa, spring water, let it go. Free your mind, let it go to the top, drop it to the floor, energy, coming like whoa, tap in, go, let it nigga know, hey. She told me go and put it in her heart. I told her I don't wanna break it all apart. Let me be a night light in the dark. Hey, my nigga shine bright with the art. Gemini 2 time, know it's art. Got the stars on the line with the charts. Big dog, so I gotta leave a mark. Free your mind, cause I'm not that smart. Hey, energy, got my light walk. Spring water, how did that grow? Free your mind, let it go. To the top, drop it to the floor. Hey, energy, got my light walk. Spring water, how did that go? Free your mind, let it go. Tap in, go, let it nigga know. Hey, let it nigga know.
You know, Sister Shanice, she wrote, I must admit I've been enjoying this course so much. The learning and sharing of debate. Yeah, that's the course that we do when we do our Black History course. You know, that is really crazy because we start a lot of times at 7:30, London time, and sometimes we talk to 12 o'clock. I mean, 12 o'clock at night over their time. So it's a very good course, and now hopefully we'll start again. And if there's enough people, we're on part 3 now. If there's enough people, we may want to start all over and do maybe start at number 1. Nadi, what did Nadi say? You think it's possible when they found old bones of what they call children and fossils like Lucy may have been Twa? They could have been Twa. But see, these were smaller people. They think they were Khoisan. Though. So we don't know. I mean, we don't know. They didn't leave any writing or any inscriptions. We just know that there were some, maybe some short people. So they could have been Khoisan or they could have been Twa, because both groups are short. So who knows? Create So Far says, I'm always chowing down on some good food while Sister Shanice is live on YouTube. Yes. Join Sister Shanice. Her programs are every Wednesday. Yes, every Wednesday. Look up her shows and support Sister Shanice because her shows are very important, Nadi says, that's why the reburying part of Gobekli Tepe. Yeah, Gobekli Tepe, that was an assignment. See, that goes back 10,000 years ago. I might talk about Gobekli Tepe. It was in a place where the people, in a sense, had a very a very important civilization, and that was during the Younger Dryas period around 10,000 years ago. See, that's one of the things that make it so very difficult is that much of Black people have had a civilization for over 20, maybe a million years, but we definitely know that at least 20,000 years ago, Black people had already began writing. They were already building houses out of stone. They were building, in a sense, monuments. They had carts. They were building boats. So a very wonderful civilization, and we need to know more. And that's one of the reasons why I like to come to you guys every Thursday. And I like to come to you every Thursday so we can discuss various aspects of Black history that you won't hear anywhere else. You see, and the reason you won't hear it anywhere else is because many people they want to spend their time mainly talking about what the European, in a sense, has made popular. But often the Europeans, they aren't really going to break down a lot of our real history, because the real history shows that we've been around much longer than they want you to believe, And that's kind of scary. Nadi, she wrote, Nadi said, I think they found where Blacks, that's why they don't talk much about it. Of course they don't. They want to talk too much about Göbekli Tepe. But see, because that's saying, in a sense, see, here's the problem that Europeans have. Is that if they find a human skeleton, once they do the cranometrics is when they measure the nose cavity and the eyes, the cheek, when they do in a sense is that most Black people, they have a very large nasal cavity. And so then they can, in a sense, be able to determine the ethnicity of a skeleton based upon, in a sense, looking at the nasal cavity and things like that. Sometimes the pelvis bone too. If it's the case of a female, each Asian women, Black, African women, and Caucasian women each have a different pelvic bone area because of the way the babies are born. So they can, in a sense, look at these various aspects to be able to determine the ethnic and ancestry of many of the people that they found. Yes, that's the dilemma that Europeans have, is that whenever they discover ancient tombs, and then they reconstruct the people who built the tombs, who left the artifacts, it always turns into Black people. So they really hate to discuss it. They try to say that races don't exist, but they do that because the fact is that they say races don't exist, because when you find all these ancient skeletons are all Black, then of course they're going to say races don't exist because they're not there. Crazy Farr says, I always thought the Euro castles were made by them. I learned today I was mistaken. When I think of castles, I think of dungeons, torture, and many horrors of the Dark Age. Yes. But the castles were much more deliberate. I haven't really discussed it in our class that Sister Shanice and I do. I did a whole presentation on castles, and I showed, in a sense, how these castles go back to Africa, just like I showed you today how when you look at these monuments, when you look at these monuments that are 1,000, 2,000 years old, you start to say, damn, these 2,000-year-old monuments, they look exactly or very similar to these forts and these castles that were built by Black Europeans. So we see it's always a large amount of continuity between the civilizations. And again, as I said, I haven't really discussed it here because I've left that to we have a class that we do on Mondays. I mainly discuss that in the class, so I try not to get too much mixed up. But I'll be honest with you, is that sometimes we do get mixed up. But the class we have on Monday that Sister Shanice and I do, it is just so exciting. Again, we start 1:30 American time, 7:30, London time, and we're on there sometimes all the way till 12 o'clock their time at night. So, hi family, this is Clyde Winters again. How are you doing? We got a new course coming up. This new course is going to be part 3, When Britain Was Black. In part 3, we're going to talk about the Black British Romans, the Black emperors, the Black Moors. We're going to talk about the beautiful castles and homes that these Black people built in Europe. We're going to talk about Black royalty. Join us for part 3, when Britain was Black. We're going to teach the class on Monday, beginning September 9th. The class is going to be at 7:30 p.m. British time and 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time in the United States. Join us for this class. Learn about the Black British Romans, the Black emperors, the Moors, the castles that they lived in, the Black royalty. Join us for the third part in the Black British History online course. Join us. You can register for the course at sistershanice.gumroad. Yes, go to Gumroad and you can register for the class at sistershanice.gumroad.com. Join us for the class beginning September 9th.
I can't let that bullshit get to me. I can't let that bullshit distract the Look to the future. Look to the keep my goals in, no controlling, locomotion. Here we going, roller coasting, up and down and graduating. Can't be founding, no more fakers, no more craters, and no more ghettos, no more haters, no more issues, no more friends, no more dividing my ends. I can't that bullshit get to me. I can't let that bullshit distract the G. Woke up this morning with that shit in my head, tossing in my bed. What the fuck you said? Gotta keep it positive, not the one misled. You the one misled. Get away, I said. Look to the future. Look to the future. Look to the future. Look to the
That video was made by Yoshimar the Genius. Like I said, the brother just makes some super videos. You can find his videos at yoshimod.gumroad.com. Go there and check out his videos. You know, they're fantastic.
I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die. What's the that you don't want me to say? I've been big on my listen to me. Sometimes I feel like the living I made. On my grandmother within the maid. Left me behind and left me astray. What is the truth that was going on with me? Don't make me cool, just have a nice day. Some things are just easy to say. Wish you can stop me from breathing a day. Don't have no food and they swimming on me. Out in the ocean away from the bay. I've been drifting along far away. I went up in to keep them away. See what you see, but I just cannot stay. Force me to lane and they want me to drain. Can't do the crown, that don't suit me. Mine unfortunately, check out my sorrow. So many follow, sleeping in hollow. Bring on the idol, listen to Carlo. Nothing to borrow, living to borrow. Nothing to call home, shooting a hollow. Shooting a inferno, I'm out the carnal. Summon out your love in the eye. All known, seeing how it is. Some get that is affirmative. I look at me to biz, got the hook to the wrist. Too late to call it quits, that's what the mission is. We are that guinea pigs, music for feeling it. Tired of sealing it, no longer feeling it. Killing what killing it, feeling like feeling it. Swimming this message off of the shore until they get pissed. Deep in, I'm in ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die. Working for genie, what a fiend, take you to Feeny. How would they see me? Sleazy bikini, nothing but weenie. Wearing a beanie, full of bikini. Changing the scenery, Some in your misery, so many lies of me. Probably got you on TV, believe me. Pulling your memories, killing the name. They never just admit that they got me. Machiavelli could have never been sloppy. We can see it's nothing but copies. Listen, cook up in that lobby. Billie Holiday just was a body. George Clinton committed them robberies. It seems he went for the lottery. This all falls in one category. We all call it a mystery. I'm the villain you all see. Glory to those who all see. Pendergrass set up like Eddie Murphy. No car crash, they just hating on me. Gotta make a comeback like Bill Cosby. Kobe Bryant playing conspiracy. Get me back for taking a knee. But they just be canning me. Like I'm a turban, hit when I'm swerving. Like those curses, sipping up a curved in. More laceration, starvation, no motivation. Straight elimination, your animation, alienation, annihilation. All for the taking, taking like taking. Omen faking, us first nation. Moving, saving, change like Raven. Sammy Davis, had to shake 'em, moving brave. On you crazy. Jada save them, Taylor paving, who we faking, Mary make them misbehaving, we the brave men, before we drown in the water, got a deep dive, I'm in the ocean and I may be hollow, at any given time, I may be followed, I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow, at any given time, I may be followed, I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow, at any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die. Think they don't want me to stay. Always one who checks if I rain. Came from the cave, made from the maid. Created the slave, step out of water. Fiction is harder. Why do they bother? Over my head, first like a daughter. Same boat, same fate, only in slaughter. Still throw check, bro. Same as a father. Justify life, should it be harder? On my nation, make things water. See how they come, all as one. Force me to gun, force me to the slum. Live up the crime, father's hung. This is beyond, live as one. Betraying the none, speak for the young. Nobody's dumb, maybe just someone they young. Maverick approach, truth by Yojo. And the kind of grow, just as the old go came off the old fall. E-I-E-I-O-E-O song. Training the wheel until it's all gone. Gotta go deeper, dive with the people. Some turn lethal, neighbors is evil. Go for the right, give up the fight. No human right, kill them on sight. Many to spare, many beware. I see that I'm there, I see that I'm here. Ready with flares, calling out bad. Our genders are here, we the illusion, not disappear. As hard as my chin, deep dive. I'm an illusion and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be followed. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die.
You know, that's a very beautiful video. But you know, Yoshi might have made a lot of them. Did black people bring the horse to America? They believe in a sense. Like I said, they've got these roads, man. They got these roads that extend for miles and miles that they found that date back 2, 3, 4,000 years ago. So I mean, I don't know. They haven't discussed finding any skeletons, so I couldn't really say that. You know, Teresa Miller, she said, I've learned a lot from your program, Dr. Winters, and my brothers, sisters in the chat. Thanks and blessing to all of you. Yes, the chat is wonderful, you know. Nadi says, if the pyramids were possibly some kind of nuclear power reactors that had a meltdown and an explosion and radiation may have caused the desertification of the air. I don't know. They do believe, in the sense they have found glass in some parts of the Sahara, so they believe they may have had evidence of nuclear fission back in the day. I don't know. I know that we found in Egyptian monuments, evidence of rockets, pyramids, and things like that. I mean, rockets, helicopters, submarines. So, I mean, hey, who knows what they had? See, the thing is this, is that the European has a monopoly of knowledge. What I mean by a monopoly of knowledge, he has the access to the various pyramids, the inscriptions in the pyramids. So we don't know. We may need somebody, in a sense, to do some research. Sister Denise said, we brought the horse to Europe. In Europe, there are chariot burials with horses that are over 4,000 years old. So true. And, she's discussed some of that stuff. And again, as I said, but we see, as you can see, I wanted to highlight the fact that some of the earliest horses and chariots that appeared later in Europe were first seen in the Saharan region. Now he says, or the opposite, maybe they used to use them to ionize the atmosphere with moisture, kind of like HARP technology. Yeah, they may have did that. HARP technology. For those who don't know, they're supposed to have a weather making machine, and they call it HARP. So the HARP technology. I know that they had a big thing the other day. They've been talking about the fact is that some people have even tried to say that some of these dramatic weather events that we've been having may have been produced by people. Karen says, I watch Ancient Aliens. They talk about that all the time, Nadi. Yeah, Ancient Aliens is a very interesting show. And what they do in Ancient Aliens, because of the fact that whenever they excavate these ancient tombs and they find these skeletons of Black people, then, they want to, in a sense, imply that all technology had to come from some aliens from outer space, because if they don't give it to the aliens, then they had to say Black people did it. And so Europeans would rather say that everything was done by somebody else besides us. But the evidence is clear. When you look at the skeletal remains that they found in these various archaeological excavations, they show, in a sense, that these people were Black people like you, Black people like me. The only difference is that what we find is that we like to think about the big black, And what I mean by the big black, believe that all Black people were the same size, had the same features. This is wrong. But we see, in a sense, when we look at the archaeological excavation, archaeological evidence, we see that different sized Blacks appear in the archaeological records at different times in history. The earliest people they consider to be the Khoisan people, which were very short. And then we see, in a sense, later we find the Anu around 10,000 BC. And then we don't come on the scene, the taller Black people like me, 5'5", on up to 6'4". We don't come on the scene until much, much later, until around about 2000 BC. You see a lot of taller Black people like us. But most of the other people are a little bit different, So again, knowledge is power, and that's what we're here for. I appreciate that you guys come every week, but they are talking about the fact that they do believe that pyramids did have some sort of ability to produce some sort of energy in ancient times. We don't know what it is. We don't even know how they would move 1 ton, 1 ton stones from place to place and build these pyramids. So it's a lot we still don't know. We still really don't know. Nadi says, or they separate straight hair are different from the curly hair Blacks. Oh yeah, they do. But see, the whole point is this, is that we really don't know. There's controversy. We see the Australians have semi-straight hair, and the most ancient population would be the people who live in Australia, because they they have a lot of, in a sense, prehistoric, facial features, especially the bridge. They had that bridge across the forehead that shows, in a sense, the archaic nature of that group. But we don't know. It's all, some of it is speculation. But what we do is that we try to look at the evidence, and when we look at the evidence, we try to use this evidence to form hypotheses. And these hypotheses we use to try to understand how man left in ancient times. But as I point out in many of my shows, they have left us written records, but many of these records, in a sense, they don't too much talk about technology. A lot of it is just talking about God and talking about mankind doing the right thing. But maybe we might find something that's a little bit more deeper. Arthur Anthropocosm says, thoughts on the theory that the pyramids are mostly cement bricks. I don't know. They were mainly made of stones. Now the yes and the Tasmanians look like them, and the Dravidians have straight hair. Yeah, they do. The Dravidians have straight hair. Some of them, some. It's all complicated. But the Dravidians, they came from the Nile Valley and stuff like that. I'm going to do a presentation soon on the origin of the Dravidian people, in a sense, and stuff like that. But again, as I said, is that we are unique people, foundational Black Americans, and because of the fact, in the sense that we are the result of an ethnogenesis. We're the result, in the sense of the Aboriginal Blacks, the Black Europeans, and then the Sub-Saharan Africans, and we all became this great mixture. And that's what gives us this unique history. I mean, haven't you ever wondered about the fact is that much of the culture, much of the world culture is an imitation of foundational Black American culture. And this results from the fact, in a sense, is that we were the center, just like ancient Egypt was the center of African expertise on the African continent, because of the fact that our ancestors came from Europe, they came from Africa. They were the Aboriginal people that lived here. We got all that information from 3 continents. And that's what makes us such a creative people. That's what makes us an influential people. And that's what makes many people, even to this day, that try to attempt to imitate our culture, imitate our language, imitate our way of being. And it's because of the fact, in the sense, is that I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, in the sense, is that this is it. Caribbean people also have this identity, because many of the people who came to the Americas went to the Caribbean. But the only problem is that the Black people in Jamaica, they basically, in a sense, went through a period of colonialism, and this period of colonialism have made them ignore their own history on the island, their origins, and what they accomplished. And this has given them, in a sense, a semi-inferiority complex. But see, because of the fact, in the sense that we've been lucky in the United States to always have this idea of black and white, that they in a sense have not been able to eliminate us. And then plus, we've always been the majority, yes. No matter what they tell you, that we're 24% of the population. The majority of people in America, are foundational Black Americans, you see. They tell you you're a minority so that you'll stay in your place, and they feel that that'll keep you down. Why would South Africans come over to America to learn how to control the Black population of South Africa? See, the only difference is that FBA people, we go along to get along. Don't push us too far. We're okay. I mean, it's just like we're civil, but if you push us too far, because of the fact that we're fighters, because of the fact that we're mainly the result of prisoners of war that were captured and enslaved, we always have this tendency that if you push us too far, we're going to explode. We're going to want to fight you. See, so most Europeans understand, in a sense, is that just keep the niggers down, keep the Negroes down, and they'll stay in their place. Let me see what Natty says. They tell us it's solid stone, but it's the same tech the Romans used to build the Colosseum and aquifers. Yeah, that's true. but you had to remember in a sense that all of these people would have, the Romans and all these people were basically, the Africans. Because remember, I only mentioned a little bit, but I'll do a presentation later. But as I told you, many of the people who formed Athens, who formed Troy, they were Garamantes. The Garamantes came, in a sense, from Libya. And then they settled in the Mediterranean on the islands, you see. The Minoans, in a sense, go back to the Garamantes too. So again, we see this Mandi influence, this expansion from out of Africa and taking these civilizations. Again, often I try to show the continuity. Just like when I showed you how Dar-to-Chit, that goes back, 1000 BC, if not earlier. Look at how Dar-to-Chit, the architecture of Dar-to-Chit is the same architecture that they used in terms of when they built the castles in Europe. So you can see there's a lot of continuity. There's a lot of, in a sense, technology, but there's a lot, in a sense, that shows this constancy, shows this relationship, that shows, in a sense, the fact that these people shared a culture and they had a great civilization. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us today. And, if you're not going to speak up, if you're not going to speak up, support the ones that do. Please support the ones who do.
If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Vampires, they prey on your future and they stay away. Vampires, they prey on your fears, control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them take control your atmosphere. Distraction away from me. I am you and control your atmosphere. Don't let them take your energy. Don't let them suck your energy. It's a distraction away from me. I am you and you are me. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Don't follow nobody but yourself. Don't follow, I said nobody but yourself. Don't follow nobody but yourself. Don't follow yourself. Nobody, yourself. Nobody but yourself.
The only thing that can save you is be one. To fight